get it started and hello everyone, welcome. If you are watching on stream, welcome. I know Simon's in here, so thanks for watching live. But yeah, so this is Strat Chat. I do it every Friday. I will probably change the time because of stuff with school and stuff like that. So kind of tentative, but I'm looking to keep it on Friday. Hopefully. Yeah, so if you're on Twitch, welcome. If you're on YouTube, welcome. I, again, live stream all this, so for people who want to keep up to date, that's how you keep up to date. And today we're talking about potential metas. I think I've done a few of this style before, so it's entertaining. But yeah, it's basically, this is situational, so in the future this might not be that needed, or in the future it might just be fun to run back onto, because we will talk about eventual metas as well. That's kind of how we roll here. So yeah. And if any of you have any questions during Strat Chat, go ahead and put them in the chat, or comment on YouTube and I'll get back to them later, all that kind of stuff, timey-wimey things. So yeah, eventual metas. Let's look at the, let me see if I can actually, do I have PTR on? Let's see if we can update PTR in the background. Don't know how that's gonna go. This might ruin my frames. Ruined. So far it's going okay. So yeah, we'll cover PTR stuff pretty soon. We'll look onto there. Let's go into a custom game real quick. I have one. Oh, speaking of which, does anyone notice that the Boston Uprising logo used to be yellow and blue, not white and blue? Who knew? What are meta maps that might change? Maps for meta that might change. Junkertown. Junkertown's on the table. Yeah, I didn't notice that either until it was suddenly like, wait, wasn't that a different color? And I looked back at old footage and it was yellow, and I was like, wow, this is surprising.
One shot.
So whenever meta changes, we have to reevaluate some maps. And off the top of my head, the ones that usually are reevaluated are, of course, Junkertown and Gibraltar. And the reason is because first point's very meta in how you kind of run things. You have to run it a specific way or else you're kind of screwed. So for example, on this map, defensive-wise, you're up here and you're trying to poke down. Enemy team's usually running a bastion or a double sniper comp, or both. That's an option. So it's not really that big of a deal for the offense on what comp they run. But usually defensively, you're going to want to run an Orisa Hog and a Widow and a Mercy. Besides that, anything else can be different, and I think honestly you don't even need a Mercy. But the idea is that you want to burn down the barrier, get rid of the bastion, or you want to win the route war. So basically, quick things to kind of cover. I'm just filling you guys in on what the map is. Usually you'll have the main team with the tanks and everything on this point. A Widowmaker player will go around this side and do like this. Basically, they want to get around this side. Usually they're a little more quieter than that, I'll be honest. They get over here, and as their team's pushing, they set up this angle. So they try to take poke shots up here, but they basically set up this angle so that they have a lot of room and they don't get pressured by the window up there. Basically, a Widow has to challenge them. So some other things as well as if you're running a Hanzo or another sniper style character, basically anyone else wants to go up here and just create a presence here. So common thing you'll see is a Hanzo that just runs up here and gets to this point, they want to take this area, while the Widow wants to take that area, and then you push the cart. So yeah, that's basically it on attack. Defense, what you want to do is you want to have your Widow that start out in the front and then rotate back here. So more like in this position. So you have a health pack right here. You can poke there, take shots, poke here, take shots, and you can grab here to take shots. Anywhere else, the Widow's going to get killed. Pretty simple there. I do like the strategy of actually setting your team up back here. So you start out poking. If you don't need to, you rotate back here. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. You have that. You have like the Widow, maybe the Mercy back there, and then you have everyone up here. And I like the rotation back here. So like Orisa, I like throwing her barrier right here and rotating to right here, because if they are running to dive, they'll just, which rarely happens, but it does, they'll actually dive right here, thinking that there's an Orisa there, and there is no Orisa there, and they'll die. So yes, that's basically this map meta-wise. Let me...
One shot.
At the moment, that was when it first, that was a while ago. So technically Goats is viable for attack here as well. So that's pretty much the only thing that changed there, which basically means you run the Diva up onto that high ground. That's it. Everyone else just tanks on the point. Not really the best strategy, but hey, it works if you have the enemy team that wants to actually go onto the point. So potential things that can come up. For starters, we have a full nerf to Diva, Orisa, Rhine, Winston, technically Hammond? Kind of not. His is a buff nerf, so statistically, he actually now does more damage with his primary fire onto armor, which is nice. Granted, he now has less armor, which is kind of a bummer. Well, his armor is not as effective, which is the bummer. I think in about 3 months, maybe a month, I might be overjudging it. I'm thinking between a month and 3 months, we're going to see a lot more Hammond, and I think players are going to start realizing that Hammond has more potential than what they originally found. He's not used to its full potential, and that's a big problem that people have been having. So the whole idea of like, oh well, Hammond's not the best character in the world, that's because they really just aren't good at him. It's bad to say this, but pros are bad at Hammond at the moment. They can be okay. Heck, even I know like Yeatle is supposed to be like the best Hammond in the world. I would almost say like I flubbed that jump. Honestly, there's so much inconsistencies to the play of Hammond that it's difficult for them to actually. I used to hit that jump every single time. I have to practice that one, actually, now I remember. But, yeah, basically, Hammond, I think, within 3 months, is going to be meta. And the reason is because of a couple of faux pas that occur that people don't really, I let go to. Well, the problem is I'm supposed to hook up higher. There's like a weird angle, so I need to actually... So how it works is I need to hook more to the side. There we go. That's the problem. That was where I was getting wrong, is I need to do the hook shot. The reason why I was letting go later is because I knew I flubbed it at the start, and there is a window in which you can actually do it later and get a little bit more height, but it's very difficult. It's kind of weird. Yeah, it's there's a lot of weird nuances with Hammond that people just don't get, and I pretty much learn all the time as Hammond. It's just insane. Like right there, that's a ground glitch. You basically as you're flying in a direction, you're moving so fast that the game doesn't completely understand if you're on the high ground or not. So say I shouldn't have been able to do that because I had already been in there just a slight bit. So pile drive's kind of funky. But yeah, so I think Hammond is on the list for being pretty decent. Just because, and this is something that's actually quite entertaining. So I occasionally watch some YouTube content of other people just kind of see where other people are seeing it. I do know that YouTube isn't really a good source for actual information. That's really useful, but it is kind of interesting to see some stuff. So I believe Jane was on Overwatch Central, and they basically asked him, what's the character that he wanted, and he said that D.Va is the only one that has high ground control, and so there's just issues there, and I disagree. Hammond has high ground control, and I think honestly the best high ground control, just because you can do stuff like that. You're up there, you're there. Technically it is harder because you have to do a little bit more planning than I'm just going to booster into them. So I honestly think that Hammond is better at clearing high grounds than D.Va, and I honestly play Hammond a lot more, and I actually get more value out of Hammond than D.Va. I have been playing D.Va a lot more recently, so my alt account is a D.Va account, just so that I can see, since I have a ton of hours on Hammond on my main account. So yeah, I think Hammond is a good contender, especially because now he does more damage. He was pretty decent before because his abilities help breaks armor. There's not a lot of characters that can do that. But I honestly think that Hammond is a good alt replacement to D.Va. I don't think we're going to see him all the time in the main tank slot. Potential other meta, triple tank dive. Triple tank dive I've actually played, and it is very interesting. So with my team, I kind of worked with them and figured out and tried triple tank dive for fun in a comp match. So I was playing Winston. One of our guys was really liking Hammond, so he was playing Hammond, not me. And we had a D.Va player, and basically what we did was, for example, how we would attack this as a triple tank dive is Winston would jump up, bubble, and then D.Va would defense matrix him as usual, and then we had the Hammond come in and just start going and doing whatever, and then the double tank would actually pull back as the Hammond tried to stay for longer, and then as the Hammond was leaving, the tanks would get back in. So we would actually have a rotation of a dive to have constant pressure. And then let's say we were about to cap here, we would basically we would jump, we would basically have someone on the cart to kind of just watch and basically shoot people to come in and maybe contest some areas that we haven't seen. But we would basically put like certain tanks to create space in one area or another. So like when you're capping a point, there's like 2 spawn points that they're coming out of. We put one tank on one side, one tank on the other, and usually we had the Hammond on the point, but I prefer Hammond not there. I actually prefer the D.Va on the point just because you have that potential of the bomb and stuff like that. But yeah, we basically would cut off points. So I see that as a very viable thing for the future. I don't think people really have grasped that yet. I do see coming up as well, because we have, we have Zarya. Zarya pretty much got inadvertently better just because she doesn't deal with armor, and her primary fire now does better against armor. Woohoo! But some people really underestimate the fact that her bubble is bigger than herself, and that is huge actually. So you can completely protect a teammate by bubbling yourself and standing within the area. So like a good example is if you get hit by Graviton Surge and you're trying to survive. If you do this where you bubble and then you bubble your teammate immediately, it's worthless. What you want to do is you want to bubble yourself and then bubble teammate, or vice versa, and wait for the 2 seconds. What does the counter? Oh, the energy counter. Okay, so let's actually, let's add AI. Give me a little bit and I'll actually show that. So there is like theories, like I've thought of a while in the past of a Wrecking Ball Zarya, because Wrecking Ball or Hammond really likes Zarya. They're like best bud characters kind of a thing. I have to check something real quick. Okay. So yeah, they're really like best buds across the board. Mainly just because the Zarya has a lot of staying power by herself. I don't think you'd really... What the heck? Hey, yo. So see, I get 40 charge per bubble. So if they... It's like 200 health, and it translates to 40 charge. You can do the math on how much damage it takes, but it's like a regular barrier, but it protects you, it cleans you of anything, but it also means you do more damage. So honestly, pretty good. So yeah, see, now I'm getting higher charge, and once I hit a certain amount of charge, see, now I can burn through that a lot better. So yeah, so I get more charge, I get more, I deal more damage per second, so it like does a flat increase of damage, similar to Mercy, Mercy's damage boost. So it's really nice. Yep. So, yeah, higher charge, more damage, you charge your ult faster. Pretty simple there. Move all bots. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Graviton Surge is really good. Hammond with Graviton Surge, you can bomb it, you can pile drive it, all that stuff, really good. Jumping back to Hammond real quick. Roadhog I don't think really is going to go anywhere at the moment. I think he's going to eventually get some sort of buff, and then he's going to come back somehow. But until then, I don't know. So, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say with Hammond. Oh, so one aspect that is really obvious is a lot of the pros don't really understand the whole, because there's many play styles for Hammond. There's one play style that they don't run, which I think is the best, and it's the position, the CC play style. So you can be like, oh yeah, Ryan's right here, boom, I go right into him and knock him back. That kind of movement is a thing. What I just did is what you technically should do. What usually people do is they'll be like, oh yeah, boom, I'm going through them, and now I duck back, get healing, wait for my cooldown, and then boom, I'm back through them again, ha ha ha, I deal 50 damage every single time, I'm disrupting them. No, it doesn't happen. Honestly, that's just more of a nuisance. If anyone really gives you the time of day during that, it's just kind of like, you get hacked or whatever, and that's where people are like, oh no, I'm hacked. What you should be doing is stuff like this, where you hit, and then you go up to the high ground, so you're in a better position, you can shell damage down, and then you can, well, I shouldn't have turned. Pile drive right on them, and then whoop, back onto the high ground, all that stuff. And then also setting things up. So there's the whole idea of pile driving for ultimates, pile driving if someone uses tire, pile driving for anything else. Yeah, like doing this to knock people in and out of combat is really good. What is my main hero? Well, that's very complicated. I pretty much play everything. I have played a ton of Hammond recently, I'll be honest. When Hammond came out, I pretty much played him a ton. I think I have the most hours on him, but in a pinch, I pretty much play everything. So right now, this is my Diva account, but I do play Ana on it. But for like ringers of characters that I actually play a lot, I play Wrecking Ball for the tank. Wrecking Ball or Zarya if I want to carry. For DPS role, Pharah or Sombra. Those are the two. I'll pick Hanzo if I actually practice him a little bit. And then Ana, I play Zen. I usually pick to carry. I used to pick Lucio for carrying. The problem is I need more follow up. And then I actually have been playing a lot more Ana. But pretty much across the board, I don't think there's a character I haven't played. The only characters I don't really play that much is Bastion, just because I don't really get that much value out of him. And I don't play Reaper because he's boring. So, yeah. I actually am not GMR Masters. It's kind of awkward. When I first started playing Overwatch, I was playing on a really bad computer with a really bad mouse, and it was my first PC game. So I basically, the best way to explain it is I placed in bronze, and then I pretty much spent the entire time just practicing and learning new stuff. So I don't play comp that often, but I play in team environments a lot, and so I do end up playing with Masters players and GMs and all that stuff. I coach those guys as well. So really, honestly, I have no idea what my SR is. That's why this alt account, I'm trying to see where I end up, because honestly, I haven't placed an account for like 3 years. And every single time I play comp, I basically gain 50 SR per win and lose like 5. I think I posted something a while back that I played like 15 games and I won 2 and I lost 1 SR. So I honestly don't know what my true SR value is, but at the moment on my main account, I think I'm 2600 plat. I just don't play comp that often because I like practicing different styles. So like my last strat chat was on how to actually learn different skills. I like learning those skills a lot more than actually in an environment where I'm trying to win. I like to practice other stuff. That being said, I do play with actual high level people, so I don't know. And they're like, I don't get the difference. Many times I do get the whole joke of we're carrying you to Masters tonight, and I'm like, good luck with that. And then we end up losing a ton. And they're like, wow, I don't know how we lost. And I went, yeah, I have bad luck. That's another thing. I have bad luck. First day of playing Overwatch, I got killed by a Hanzo who was shooting arrows straight into the air out of spawn, and he shot me as I was spawning in. Oh, got suspended. Bummer. Hey, the new account place in plat. That's good. Yeah, honestly, that's where I'm at the moment. Is I think you can get so much better at the game so fast that the SR system really can't compete. It's really awkward. But yeah, with the whole thing with Hammond, just try to like get angles and so like boop people into different areas and all that stuff. Yeah, honestly, getting another account helps out. What'd you get suspended for? You don't have to answer. I don't really care that much. Yeah, so that's the stuff with Wrecking Ball and Zarya. I think Diva's not really going to go anywhere. I think it just makes Zarya better with Diva having a 2-second cooldown. Abusive chat. Ooh, XD. Bummer, man. I know that. I know a couple people who have happen to them, and a lot of the issues. Actually, PTR's up, so let me actually switch things. I know people that have a lot of issues with with that kind of stuff, and a lot of the times it's because they get into a team and the team's just not doing what they wished they did, and so you kind of tell people the truth, or you get frustrated and it just goes downhill. I don't want to play tutorial. PTR. There we go. We're on PTR now. So yeah, with Hammond, you want to make sure that you're, nope, not spectator. I hit the wrong one. Let's switch maps to Gibraltar. So I think for Junkertown specifically, what we'll see in the future is basically, I think a dive presence could occur a lot more, because second point is really is good for dive. Third point is decent for dive. You don't need dive. First point, I think could be good for dive. So I see a version of dive coming out, especially with the nerf to tanks. I think you could be running tanks. You could very well. There's an old comp that my team used to run called the pork roast comp, and their original idea was, oh my lord, holy cow. Let me, what's, alright, that is a lot better. Holy Moses. I haven't been on PTR on this account. Fun. So yeah, so with the comp, it basically ran as we would have one tank, one support, and then everyone else was basically DPS. And so the idea would be, let's say for example, let's go back to spawn. Let's go back to spawn so I can actually show the usual characters we played them as, and what we've actually personally adopted with the characters. So way back when, we played it with a Roadhog because his self-heal, and just because I think it was actually made by my friend. He just liked having Roadhog there because he can get insta-kills with the hook and the sustain with the healing. The problem was he was just an ult battery. I've seen people do a similar comp with Orisa. It's a quad DPS comp. But yeah, we played Hog, we played a Mercy or Lucio, one of the two. I actually like the Mercy a lot more now. And then we would play a Genji, Pharah, Sombra, and Tracer. And so basically the idea was we were playing a double dive. So the Pharah could be used to get the Mercy out of dodge and be in the area to heal the Hog. So it's that whole floating mechanic. And then we had the Pharah just for damage sake, Genji and Tracer for dive, and then Sombra is the extra dive. This was way back when Sombra got ult charged by healing with the pack. So doing this and getting healed. So basically what we would do is, for example, to push this, we would place Roadhog on the point. By the way, you can use any dive character. You could use Doomfist. You can. I like Hammond for the tank because he can leave the point. A lot of the pros are using Orisa because she has more staying power on the point. It's not really about contesting the point. I really don't like that whole strategy of, oh, we're just contesting it. I kind of like the pushing the point when it's there and when it's not, whatever. But basically, it's just a super high DPS dive. So let's say like we're gonna engage on them at this point. We have multiple. So we like hack the health pack down here, and as it comes around this corner, we just jump out and boom, we obliterate, skirmish, all that stuff. High damage output really, really fast, and then boom, we're gone, kind of thing. Sorry, I should have had that up. But yeah, we would basically get a health pack and use Sombra as a second healer, and then we would just swarm on them really, really fast. It was good skirmish play, and could catch them off guard. Granted, there's really no sustain. It's really about just getting in and obliterating the enemy team, and that was the best way that we could go. So that was usually how we played there. So that is a decent way in, just because of the sheer fact that sustain's going to be a bit nerfed. I don't think it's nerfed enough though, because honestly, the only characters it really affects is like Hammond. I think Sombra deals more damage to armor, but some characters like Tracer doesn't affect. Her damage output doesn't affect because of how low the pellets are anyways. Reaper, it only affects him if he's at perfect range. So, like I said, nothing really. I'm going to take a drink of water. So, the armor nerf doesn't really change much tank-wise, but the nerf to Brig does change. So let me actually go back. I don't want to play the tutorial. I don't care about the tutorial.
Acknowledged.
Oh my god. Can I shoot myself? No. Hits head on desk. Hits head on desk repeatedly. It's called a rinse and repeat frustration. So let's just charge.
You should sit this one out.
Yeah. PTR. Just entertaining.
You're wasting my time.
Oh, ult charge.
Get back. I got you covered.
Okay. So rally works the same. We get all the way up to 350, and while we're standing around waiting for the armor to decay, we'll talk about the other changes. So D.Va, of course, has the 2-second cooldown, which means you now have a 2-second window to ult after she's dropped her matrix, which basically means it is not about trying. It's going to be really easy. Yeah. Works like a barrier. So basically, the only thing this changes is if you try to do the armor after a fight. Now you're just going to have to do it in the middle of the fight. Well, to start out the fight, pre-fight. And if it stalls you for 30 seconds, woohoo. That's really great. I don't think a team would be too sad if the other team decided to wait 30 seconds out. So yeah, I don't think that decay really does anything, especially since a lot more players are trying to ult right before the fight, not like in middle downtime, so there's a lot better timing for it. Of course, Reaper is just disgusting. Like just disgusting. I don't think I can actually show how disgusting he is here. But yeah. And then D.Va, of course. 1, 2. 1, 2. Technically, that's a cooldown for a recharge as well. So you can kind of grab some things. It's still going to be decent, but you're not going to be able to consistently knock stuff away. That's kind of why I like Hammond. And I still like gush about Hammond, is because you can just boop and then like boop again, and you can just keep doing that over and over again. So you don't really have a cooldown for how many times you can boop besides if you detach your grapple or whatever. So you're knocking people away, messes their shot up. So honestly, I think that's pretty good. But yeah, that's all the stuff there. Let's see if I can actually get into a custom game. No thanks. Man, this thing's pushy. Let's switch him to a Roadhog. They have 2 Roadhogs, so I'm just gonna basically run at him and see how the Reaper fares. I think high level, the best Reaper can get is a situational pick, because a big issue is, like right now, I'm not healing. Not healing at all. If a Widow hits me in the head, I die instantly. And I can't do anything about it at any distance besides right next to her. So that's some of the issues. So see, I take a lot of poke damage on. Do I really take any damage? Nade is the thing to worry about. Pretty boring if you ask me. Let's try flicking him a bit more. So Nade stops his healing. Yeah. I'm trying to take damage. And they really slept art, so I thought I would be okay. Honestly, this is just boring. I think healing doesn't really matter against the higher levels unless they're playing against a tank, which I think is what Blizzard's trying to do. But yeah, it's pretty boring. So yeah, higher level players is why you probably see a lot of pros going like, nah, not gonna change meta. Nope, nothing. He sucks. I agree. Pretty much higher level. But for people who are platinum or lower, it's gonna suck for you. So basically what they did, and this is why I'm really not a fan of this, is they just made it worse for everyone. Congrats. Welcome. They made it worse for the majority of the players, and that's pretty much it. So basically I see Reaper getting used in like Reaper May comps, possibly. But honestly, I see a burst damage comp coming in again, just because burst damage and then they don't get healed. Because it's really easy to counter Reaper in organized play and in high ranks, that it really just doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Healing doesn't matter in the middle of the fight. That's why the Overwatch League meta was a single support. No one took damage. They just killed people instantly. That's basically the idea of the game. So that being said, Tracer I think might get a shot. I definitely think McCree's going to get a shot at the meta. So yeah, that's very specific stuff. I think we just skipped over really what Gibraltar was, but usually you play a dive on blue box. I think it's going to stay the same. I think Junkertown, I think we might be able to get a dive into play. I see Reaper taking up, well, I see McCree being played a lot more just because of his fan. The hammer does a ton of damage. I just see that happening. I see Sombra getting a lot of play. I see eventually teams realizing that Sombra doesn't counter Wrecking Ball. Well, she counters him enough that she also counters Winston the same way, as well as Diva in the same way. But a lot of Sombras just think that, oh, they get more value if they hack Hammond. And Hammond players usually feel like crap when they get hacked because there's so much mobility to Hammond that you're like, oh my gosh, I just felt like I got my wings clipped. Pretty much. So with the recent changes, who falls out of meta? I think Brig fell out of meta a while ago. Just people didn't really react. They were just like, yeah, we've practiced Brig. This is the issue with meta, is when it changes, people will actually get very used to the next meta. So people got really used to playing Diva. Before they weren't used to playing Diva, or with a Diva. Same thing with Brig. People weren't used to playing Brig, so they weren't playing her. And then people started playing her, and it was like, crap, we need to play Brig, or we're not going to play Brig because we're very used to dive or our comp, so we're not going to play Brig. That's what happened with the Overwatch League, and that's what's happening now is Brig. I think Brig Shield Bash nerf, just not needed in GOATs. You can sustain long enough. Basically, I usually run Ana, Lucio, and Mei because you have more healing output than the Zen GOATs comp. And Mei works the same way as Brig and Zen combined. You wall behind them. Boom, you destroy them. You drop the wall. If they're in the skirmish, you just freeze them all. Mei is really good, and people just don't really see that. Her damage output is kind of lacking, I'll be honest. Pretty decent burst, but she's more of a control character. So you have to rely on your team's damage. If you just want a pew-pew character, I think we're going to see more Widow. I think we're going to see some Sim and Torb comps. So Torb, I think people are going to be using the turret for zoning. So if there's an area on a specific map that they need to control from flankers, I see the turret being useful. That being said, a Sombra can actually go past the turret.
And everyone. I got it. Get down.
I keep clicking the wrong button. I don't have any defaults on. Soldier I see possibly being played just because of the heal pack for specific reasons. He can actually take the place of Brig for the healing output that you want. Boom, heal, woo. Not really too big of a deal, but that's a possibility if people really miss the Brig. Pharah I see getting play like regular. I don't think really anything changed to kind of help or whatever. Mei again. McCree gets play. Junkrat? Nah. I don't think we're gonna see Junkrat for a while. I think Junkrat's gonna need a direct buff, or Pharah is gonna need a direct nerf in order for Junkrat to actually come into play. Hanzo and Widow, I think double sniper comp's probably gonna come back just because of stuff. I know people are gonna play goats until they can't. Basically, it's going to be played until someone is very successful in another comp. So basically, if any of these comps are going to counter goats, that's going to end up killing goats. So, for example, it quad DPS with a Hammond. Junkrat is good at lower elos. That is correct. That is 100% correct. Couple reasons why. I'll actually explain why he's good at lower elos. There's a lot of intricacies. So there is just the basic spam. ideology. And so in higher levels, doing this gets you nowhere. Because let's say if the mines were coming my way, do I want to stand into this? Yes or no? The answer, obviously, no. Boom, you get killed. So it's really good if you're taking pointless damage from him, and that's where lower elos usually have that. And it's just because either they don't notice or whatever. But in higher elos, that doesn't really work. Yes, you can be very accurate with his bombs and get a lot of value doing this. In conjunctions, really accurate as well. And as well in basically all the way up to like masters, I think. Junkrat tire is really good. It loses value when you actually get like a Widowmaker who's really good. I played a decent amount of Junkrat a year ago in tournament play. Played him for 40 hours. He's used to be your main. Not that bad, honestly. I played him a lot back on the team. So yeah, basically we ran goats before goats existed, and we called it 033. But then we realized that it wasn't really, we couldn't really deal with another team playing a mirror comp, because a common thing that we would have occur is the enemy team would actually switch and try to play the exact same comp in the middle of a tournament. And so we would just kind of have problems because, of course, lower elo teams have problems killing. If you have any other team that kills faster, you have issues. So we actually put me on Junkrat just because I could shell out a ton of damage, get a ton of solo kills myself, and it was good against another like goats comp. Yeah, using the mines, bouncing off. Basically, quick tips for Junkrat. For one, you want to have, you want to put these at corners so that they're not 100% seeable, but they get trapped, or just in little dark areas, put traps there. Mining to get to the high ground is pretty good. Doing the mine, that kind of stuff is pretty good. So yeah, I think being a base Junkrat, like I said, Junkrat, well, I haven't really said that. Junkrat isn't a bad character. It's just playing him. Here's what you lose. You lose range that you get out of Pharah because you have to arc shots. You can't really hit a Pharah, potentially, so you lose a lot of that, and you're not necessarily in a dive. So your main real power is to just burn down tanks, and it's okay, but not great. It's okay against a goats comp. You can try doing that. The problem is you need more precision damage, because just spam damage is just going to get blocked and eaten and all that stuff. So there you go. I think Hans is going to be pretty decent. I think Ashe is going to be decent once she's fixed. Genji's Genji. I don't think he changes that much. If dive comes back, woohoo, congratulations, Genji. Nanoblade's still a thing. Nanoblade's really good. Just people forgot it because of goats. Then, of course, you have Doomfist. I honestly, there's a new style of Doomfist that I want to try out called Defensive Doomfist. And basically plays like Brig. Is just has a lot more of a kick to it. So let's say we're like defending on this point. Instead of like diving in all the time, what I would do is I would actually sit up by the supports or the tank line and just kind of help out. Just boom, boom, boom. And then when they would engage on us, as they come in, we just boom, up, boom, hit. So like you can do an uppercut, and if you have a Widow in the back line, she can just hit him. So like you can go up to Ryan, boom, uppercut. So there's a lot of things you can do that aren't necessarily diving in and trying to like solo everyone. So I see that as a possibility of people coming up, but I'll be honest, I don't think that's going to actually occur. So there's like some metas that I've predicted in the past, and they're like a little bit wild and off the wall, and I don't think they're going to eventually occur. Two Lanterns comp. Where's Two Lanterns comp reside. I think no one's gonna pick it up. Two Lanterns comp might see some stuff occur, but I don't think anyone's going to pick it up. How would I play Two Lanterns comp in the upcoming meta? Let me actually see how would I play Two Lanterns in the upcoming meta? I would play Two Lanterns with Sim. I would play Orisa, Hammond. Would I want Diva? Either Orisa Diva or Orisa Hammond. Either one. Oh, what's Two Lanterns comp? Give me a moment. I'll show you. May's a good response. Let's actually do Healing Core. Anna. And Zen or Mercy. I would say Mercy or Zen. Either one. And then, of course, we have our... Yeah. So we have the Sim. That's 5. 6. Any of them. Honestly, any of them. Two Lanterns comp. Welcome to the channel. So Two Lanterns comp is a comp that I made before the 033 comp, which ended up becoming the GOATS comp, and it's theoretically the best comp. It's just very difficult to play. In some situations it does work, but if you just aren't 100% playing it correctly, it just goes to crap. So the base idea, this is actually a good map to explain it off of. So if you are familiar with the old two-stage comp, where you basically had players in the back line up here, and you had players down there, and then that comp was created for Torbjorn, where Torbjorn's turret was in the back line, and a lot of times the Torbjorn would have it up here, or they would actually put it back there on the staircase. That was way back when. So what Two Lanterns comp does is it uses a two-staged setup. So for example, a lot of people think that you do this as Orisa. Woohoo, we are in a bunker. We are shooting pew pew pew. You can't get to me. Oh no, I need to hit that guy that's around the corner. I have to move over here. Oh no, I'm not at the barrier. What can I do? Or hey, we're advancing. Well, let's say we're attacking. Advance. Barrier. Oh no, I want to go further. What do I do? Yeah. There's a lot of issues that Orisa players just do that make no sense to me. This is how I play Orisa. Boom. Hit that. Now that joke is covered, and then if anyone tries to poke in there, they're taking a ton of damage. I'm not going to be taking any damage from there, and if I am, I just rotate to here, and I just spam here. So the idea is I am a backline main tank. Whoa, boom, that's Two Lanterns. I'm a backline main tank. We might have a main tank on the front. In the past, we've done it with a Rhine or a Winston. So we've done a Orisa dive where we have a Winston and a Diva in the front line. And so basically, let's say they go to dive. Boom, I throw the barrier. I threw it further because now it's acting as a Winston barrier for when they land. You can do this with Hammond now and just give Hammond a barrier that he can actually deal with. Really interesting ideas. So yeah, you can run this with the Hammond. But yeah, basically they would dive in and deal their stuff, and you would have a backline that's protected by an Orisa. So way back when this comp was first made, it was when the Mercy changes first came through, giving her res on her E ability. And so the idea would be is you would have a soldier and an Orisa and a Mercy in the back line, and they would just shred down on the front. So you would basically poke, all that stuff. Technically, you could burn down a Rhine barrier if they had, I believe, a Diva in 4 seconds. So, fun. So yeah, that's really fast, honestly, and that's if you're only running on the Orisa and Soldier. If anyone else is shooting at it, it cuts down to like 2 seconds almost. But yeah, it's a really high damage output range comp that just burns through people. Very similar to the Orisa defense on Anubis, where you get up onto the top and you defend from there. But yeah, we had the Mercy back here, and it's because the Mercy would damage boost us. Because if you think about like the Mercy, Orisa, and the Soldier, if I bongo, Soldier gets damage boosted, gets his ult faster, or we end up getting like nano boosted Soldier because it increases damage the same amount. Mercy boosts the Soldier, he does more damage, gets his ult faster. Basically, you boost the Soldier, and let's say they try to deal with our backline. I fortify, Soldier drops his healing pad and runs away. I am now healing and fortified, and the Mercy runs to the other line. So the Mercy just dashes over there. She's safe. Let's say the pulse bomb or whatever goes off. Mercy comes back, reses any of us who may have died. Usually it's either the Orisa or the Soldier. If none of us died, then she's okay. But if anything happens to the front line, then oh hey, we have the barrier here. So we're very inconsistent with the barrier. People aren't able to react because they expect the Orisa to be behind the barrier. So like I said, putting the Orisa barrier further on Junkertown, you'll be surprised how many people will just dive the barrier because they see the barrier and no one's there, and you just kill them. Super easy. When do I stream? So I do STRAT chat every Friday like this, like the regular. I'll stream randomly amongst the week. School started, so I probably won't be streaming that much. But yeah, I usually post like when I'm gonna stream in a day, stuff like that. I'm not consistent. Besides just STRAT chat. But yeah, that's usually regular. But yeah, thank you for joining. See ya, Simon. Yeah, that's basically Two Lanterns comp. I think anytime Two Lanterns comp can come into play as a possible meta, but honestly, teams have come close. I think the closest teams have gotten to Two Lanterns comp is, of course, the Orisa defense on Anubis, which became meta, where you basically bump the Orisa onto the high ground. You can play with a sim. You know how I said I would like to play with a sim, and that's because you can just teleport Orisa to the back line, or anyone to the front line to the back line, and so you can have like the teleporter set up in the back line so that your team can move freely in between. So basically do like this, boom. And you can have a barrier that protects the teleporter, so there's a lot of cool things you can do, and then I only have like 3 seconds to put it back out. So yeah, very linear comp. You want to make sure that your team is oh, stop it. So you would really want your team to be aware of the Symmetra teleporter. Teams are getting better at working with the Symmetra teleporter, but honestly, I think teams need to get better at Symmetra teleporter. So I think Sim is probably going to be meta, but I don't think it's going to be the next meta. I think the next meta is going to be a conversion from Goats and maybe a more DPS heavy comp. I think Goats is going to stay for a bit, just because people are used to it. I think versions of Goats will come into play. Like I know my team, we're going to basically stick with Goats, but a while ago, we switched out Brig for May. But I think we're probably going to switch in one of the tanks for Hammond soon, or Roadhog. So I don't see anything change. We are still playing the Moira Lucio one. We'll probably switch to an Ana Lucio one, maybe. I don't see us playing the Zen one, just because that's good if we had the Brig as well. But we don't play Brig anymore. But that's just us. We usually don't follow under the same stuff that other people do. Like I said, we've played Two Lanterns, we played 033 way back before Goats played it. Basically when Brig first came out, that was literally the first thing we did. I think literally, I can't remember, we have a strat chat where we literally talked about Brig, and then like that weekend we played 033. It was literally like, yeah, Brig just came out and we're practicing 033, and then the next week I think I called it Dive is Dead, and I said Brig's too good, you have to play Brig now and play her in a pseudo quad tank comp, and people are going to hate this comp because quad tank wasn't very liked. Fun fact, people keep forgetting about tank comps, so eventually people are going to want this comp back and then hate that it's back. It's a thing. It happens. It's constant. So yeah, kind of depressing. But yeah, any other meta ideas? Yeah, I don't think... I honestly think that it's going to be just those two, and I think that covers us. But yeah, I hope people actually realize May a bit more. I just imagine it's going to be Goats. I think Rhine Zarya is going to be a big thing. And then I think a Hammond dive is going to come into play. I don't think meta is going to shift too drastically, though. I just think Goats might fade out in what we know. But eventually it will change drastically when teams figure out that they can play Symmetra better. Teams are still working on Symmetra plays. Getting the entire team used to everything. Trying to think of what else. Torb. People are getting used to Torb. I don't think Torb's that great. I think Symmetra's a bit better. I think Sim and May should be meta, but they're not. I think Orisa should be meta, but they're not. Just play styles very different. And Two Lanterns comp is a very dedicated comp. It is a multi-tank comp, so that's a problem as well. So yeah, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have any more questions, I know this is a very big topic and I just kind of skimmed a lot of the stuff while kind of going off and talking about other stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the YouTube video, which will eventually be up. I am trying to do a Minecraft video. I'll give you guys a sneak peek, but I will turn off the recording. So yeah, if you watching, I do post updates on my Twitter account, all that stuff, which is Dryden001, but instead of an E, it's a 3. So I post updates there. This one was a little bit interesting in how it was going to work. So it's a little awkward. I don't know what future live streams are going to look like, just because it's a bit awkward to figure that stuff out. But yeah, let's tease a bit. Let's not get that shot. Yeah, let's do this.